Good Friday evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Nelson. In the news, we begin tonight with a very big development in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. According to court documents obtained by the Daily Beast, a woman named Virginia Giuffre, the alleged teenage sex slave of Epstein, claims she was ordered to sleep with powerful men. Included in the list of powerful men, Maine Senator George Mitchell, and other names mentioned in court as well. Former MIT professor Marvin Minsky, ex-New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, and money manager Glenn Dubin. Giuffre has previously claimed that she had sex with Prince Andrew and noted attorney Alan Dershowitz as well.
As for Mitchell, he denies everything Giuffre claims. In a statement released this afternoon, Mitchell says the allegation contained in the release documents is false. I have never met, spoken, or had any contact with Ms. Giuffre. He goes on to say, quote, in my contacts with Mr. Epstein, I never observed or suspected any inappropriate conduct with underage girls. He concludes by saying, quote, I only learned of his actions when they were reported in the media related to his prosecution in Florida. We have had no further contact, and we will continue to update you on this story as we learn more. In other news tonight, Maine officials have identified the young teenager who is the subject of an ongoing search in Buxton near Salmon Falls.
Yeah, Cameron O'Brien is there, and police have just wrapped up a news conference. What else did they have to say there, Cam?
Yeah, Lindsay, it's been a really sad and tragic afternoon here at the Pleasant Point Park. What we have learned is that 17-year-old Steele Crawford of Freeport is presumed drowned in the Saco River. Officials are looking for him now. Police say that Crawford was swinging on a rope swing down by the water, let go, and then awkwardly landed in the water and never surfaced. So what officials are doing now is they're searching downriver of the Route 202 bridge and upriver of the Skelton Dam. But the problem is that the water drops off quickly and it gets very deep, up to 50 feet. So that makes the search quite challenging for them. They've been going by foot looking, they've been using boats, drones, and soon divers will be on scene to go into that water and see what they can find. That's where we are in the investigation right now. Police say they will update us with any new information. We're going to be here in the park and wait for that information. So make sure you stay on newscentermaine.com, both on air and online, for the latest updates. Lee, Lindsay, back to you.
All right, Cameron O'Brien live in Buxton. Thank you, Cam.
Other news we're following this Friday evening, the man who police say killed a mother in front of her two children is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. A judge today sentenced 77-year-old Albert Flick to a life sentence for stabbing and killing Kimberly Doby 11 times in July of last year as her 11-year-old twins watched nearby. In sentencing Flick, the judge called the crime despicable. Flick really showed no emotion when the life sentence was handed down.
It's an about-face from the White House. President Donald Trump is voicing optimism that some sort of firearms background check measure will be instituted soon following the recent mass shootings in Texas and Ohio. He told reporters at the White House today that, quote, we have to have meaningful background checks. The White House had threatened to veto a House-passed background checks bill earlier this year.
And Walmart has decided to take down all signs and displays from its stores that depict any kind of violence following the recent mass shootings. The retailer instructing employees in an internal memo today to take down any marketing material, turn off video game consoles that show violent games. No videos or video games that depict violence will be removed from the shelves, and there's no change in the company's policy regarding gun sales.
Time to check in on that forecast, and I think we're turning to Keith, who's live in Rockland tonight.
The
looks
boat
pretty nice
show.
out there.
How is it, Keith?
It's good, actually. It's a really nice day so far, and the hours of this is such that it's wrapping up here, but we've got 2 more days still left of it. And let's start with the nice weather. Along the coastline, at least, we've got a lot of sunshine there. We do have some puffy cumulus clouds, though, farther inland, and those clouds have developed up into the atmosphere a bit and produced a couple of showers and thunderstorms there. And I give credit to the small scale models that had picked up on the concept of it. And there's a good line coming out of Canada right now. We had one earlier in the day as well. Those moving to the south and east, they're not severe, and they've just been bubbling up showers into thunderstorms and then back down, kind of pulsing up and down as they move eastward here. Most of them, though, drying up as they go downhill, so that's good news for most of us. Temperatures in the 80s, and I'll tell you what, in direct sun, as we're having here in Rockland right now, it's pretty warm. The dew points aren't crazy, but the low 80s with all the sun feels good. For the most part, 70s farther away, and the mountains are sitting in the 60s where they're seeing those showers and the thunderstorms come through. So tonight, those showers and storms will try to make it downhill, but have a hard time doing so. So for the most part, we're just dry. The showers confine into the elevations. And then tomorrow, we start with a lot of sunshine, but we've got another trough that has to come through tomorrow afternoon. And so that's going to give us, I think, a more widespread chance of showers and thunderstorms later tomorrow. Lee, if you recall, I had a bride who was asking me way in advance about Saturday.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I'm a little bit nervous about it. I think it's only a 40% chance, but a 40% chance of an email from a bride is still too high.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. A 10% chance is too high. All right, Keith, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you about more in a little bit. All right, let's move on to some more news. Facebook is once again trying its hand at news.
Yeah, the company is planning to launch a new news tab. According to the Wall Street Journal, Facebook has approached prominent news outlets with monetary offers to secure the rights to license headlines and other content. Facebook has proposed giving them discretion over how their content will appear. News outlets would be allowed to choose between hosting stories directly on the news tab or including headlines with a link to their own websites. Facebook has said it wants to have more high-quality news. The news tab is expected to launch sometime this fall. Well, summer and art go hand in hand in Maine like lobster and butter. So today begins the 5th annual Bucksport Arts Festival.
Yeah, a lot of artisans from all across the state gather to show their work and their talent. Among them, a young man in kind of a search to give his life meaning, a search that necessitates overcoming some major challenges.
His autism is a gift.
Cynthia Wallace is talking about her son, Charles.
I love this one, the gold. I gave him a disposable camera, and I was just blown away when he came home with these pictures.
These are just a sample of the hundreds of photographs Charles has taken. He's traded in his old disposable camera for more sophisticated equipment.
Most of these are taken with the Nikon Coolpix and the Canon PowerShot.
Charles's mom says taking pictures is a form of expression for her son. It allows him to cope with the challenges of autism.
He struggles with anxiety, which is part of autism. But when he takes the camera, it's like he's so calm. He is at a perfect place for him.
Possibly even more important, this form of art gives Charles a sense of meaning.
And before I didn't feel like I was going anywhere. So it makes me feel like I've got something going on in my life.
And now eventually his mom hopes to make calendars and photo albums with the pictures. Right now Charles is focusing on giving others with autism a voice through the lens of a camera. Nice work. Pretty darn cool, for
And
sure.
a beautiful location for that art show.
Yeah, right.
Wow. All right, still ahead on News Center now. Finding the Pieces and Finding Support, a special camp here in Maine. We're going to take you to the Finding the Pieces camp in Biddeford when we come back. There's one thing Keith loves more than forecasting our weather here in Maine.
What would that be?
He loves to be out on a boat.
Yes, he does. Oh, and the next best thing is to be standing beside them
Yes.
and giving us the weather forecast. We'll let you do that right now, Keith.
Yes. Standing next to boats that, in general, there's a few I could maybe afford, but for the most part, not looking great. All right, I'm here with John Hanson. He's the organizer. John, first of all, talk to us about this event, the hours, what you can do here.
This is the 17th annual Maine Boat and Home Show, and we're here in Rockland. We started today, Friday. We're here tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4, and there's something here for just about everyone. Large yachts for people with large amounts of money, and small boats for people with small amounts of money. Great food, art, furniture, and tomorrow we have, in midday, we're having the first cordless canoe challenge, which is by the Maine Ocean School. Small boats powered by Makita power tool heads. So it should be a very interesting bit of engineering.
I wish there was more wind to make that even more interesting.
Well, we hope it's the first time we've done it, so we're a little leery. We don't need no more wind.
We should be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, John, I got to ask you this. How many people would you say go to a boat show and buy a boat on a whim? Because that interests me. Is this like an open house situation or?
I don't know the percentage, but there are a number of people who come here driving to the show saying to their partner, no, honey, I'm not going to buy a boat today.
Right.
And they come home trailing a boat.
That's
so
the way to
it
do
happens all the time, and that's what we like.
Yeah.
We like that to happen very often. So please come tomorrow or Sunday and relieve one of these boat builders of a boat. That's what they would really like.
And trick your significant other. Thank you, John. By the way, guys, I'm not a hat person, but this hat was given to me and it's weather related. So I just want to see, let me remove the sunglasses because everybody's creepy with sunglasses and a hat. What do you think of this? You like it on me?
It is spectacular.
Looks good. Wait, what is it?
I have no idea. I can't see you. But Keith, you look fabulous. No question.
Not very convincing, guys.
Well, we tried. We're trying to be nice. It's Friday.
Exactly.
All right, talk to Keith later on. We got to take a break here. Coming up, we're going to find out more about the Finding the Pieces summer camp.
Yeah, we'll take you inside and it'll make you smile.
So all sorts of summer camps are in full swing right now, but for some families, finding the perfect camp can be a bit tricky.
Yeah, there's a camp in Biddeford that was created 3 years ago to answer a family's need, and it's been helping dozens of children since.
Oh my goodness! Isn't it fun? This is madness!
These campers sure make madness look like a lot of fun.
4, 3, 2, 1!
Each one taking turns in the middle of a massive, colorful parachute.
How is it, Allie? Fun!
It looks like a typical summer camp.
3, 2, 1!
The only unique thing you might notice from the looks of it is that there are 9 campers and 9 counselors.
This is Bryce Quattrone.
Counselors like Natalie Hatch.
You can also call me Mohawk Madness.
Bryce and Natalie are cousins, and they're part of Finding the Pieces summer camp, which provides one-on-one support for children with autism.
Thank you for all your help.
Bye, everyone.
That one-on-one support, parents say, is hard to find.
This camp started about 3 years ago, and it really came from a family who had a son with autism where he gets summer services through the school year, but that ends at the very beginning of August. So there's a gap where students don't really have much going on.
Cost can be another challenge when it comes to summer camp. But thanks to a collaborative effort by the City of Biddeford, University of New England, and the Autism Society of Maine, this camp is free. Campers are also free to just be kids.
We're not here to be school, we're not here to be therapeutic, but just find a place for kids to have fun for 2 weeks.
I just put some gel on my hair. We were making, hold on, wait a second.
He's gonna get his slime bag that we made today.
And at Finding the Pieces,
put in there?
they find ways to say
Glitter.
thanks to those who have
Hold it up.
supported them since day one.
This is for you, Mom.
Melted when he said that. Bryce is so sweet. The counselors there are completing part of an internship program at the University of New England where they go to school.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice. All right, speaking of nice, it's nice outside. Let's go back to Rockland. Keith is outside. Don't know if he bought a boat. He probably was trying to trick Paula into buying one at some point here, right, Keith?
I took a lot of business cards, we'll say that much. That's about as far as we went today. It's really nice out in Rockland. A lot of the coastline is in good shape. We do have some clouds and actually some showers and thunderstorms in the mountains. You can see clear here, but as you head inland, there are a lot of upward moving cumulus clouds, and those have developed into showers and thunderstorms. As I mentioned before, they kind of pulse up showers and storms, so they pop up and they turn into thunderstorms for a brief period of time, then they come back down into showers. And that's what we've been seeing coming out of Quebec and across into the mountains. For the most part, though, nothing super strong. This cell down here looks kind of interesting, but again, nothing severe, just has kind of that pulse-up look to it where we get some thunderstorm activity out of it. Temperatures in the low 80s for the most part. Dew points are down, although as I mentioned before, you know, in full sunshine, it's still pretty mild. The sun angle, unfortunately, is starting to wane as we get into this part of the year, but not quite cool yet. Dew points in the 50s, down from a really humid couple of days where dew points were around 70. Hour by hour forecast is going to give us a couple of showers again. They tend to stay in the mountains, but a few of them could get down to inland locations through this evening. It's not going to be a big deal, but just be aware there is an isolated chance of a shower in there. As we get into later tonight, it's partly cloudy, and we start tomorrow with a lot of sunshine. However, we have to get a trough through tomorrow afternoon, and that will give us just enough forcing to give us a chance for a shower, again, maybe a rumble of thunder. And I think unlike today, they'll be more diffused around the state, so we'll see them all the way to the coastline tomorrow afternoon. Probably about a 40% chance of seeing one, but they'll be around. Sunday looks a little cooler, but it looks like the drier of the 2 days. We'll call it partly cloudy with in and out of clouds, more sunshine along the coastline and more clouds into the mountains. But again, that will be the dry day. You can take your chances on Saturday, but there will be some showers popping up there in the afternoon. Our overall pattern here, according to the Euro model and really the GFS as well, is more active. So we're moving systems through quickly. That gives us more chances of showers. We had been on this pattern, this stretch of about 5 or 6 weeks where we've been getting 5.5 nice days out of 7. And I think, that comes to an end obviously through this weekend and into next week where we see more shower chances. Temperatures are down a bit. Marine forecast, appropriately so, seas around 2 to 4 feet. Water temperature at that buoy, 4407 that we use off the coast, has been all over the place. Went from 63 to 68. It's below 70. That's all you really need to know. And it's in the 50s still over parts of extreme down East Maine. So the overall forecast, again, is not bad, but we do have a couple of shower chances in there. Temperatures are at, if not a little bit below average through the stretch, and our average is about 80 degrees, and we'll be kind of on either side of that. But what I don't see, at least in the next 7 to 10 days, guys, is a big burst back into really, really hot stuff. So after a record-setting July, at this point, August is just kind of right in the middle of the pack.
What you also did not see was the woman who was trying to take a picture who snuck up behind your green screen there while you were doing your forecast. It was kind of funny.
She'll tag you.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
she'll
see
tag
it
you.
all, Lee. I see it all.
Oh, you see it all. Okay. All right. Thanks, Keith, very much. Talk to you next half hour.
Well, for that woman, she probably met her idol,
There you
Keith
go.
Carson.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always fun to do that, right? And that just is what happened to Sophia Manning, who's interning at the Maine State Aquarium this summer. She met her idol.
Yeah, look who walked into her lecture on lobsters the other day. Bill Nye, the science guy. Sophia said, I grew up watching Bill Nye throughout my school years, and I was completely starstruck. He was at the aquarium to learn more about lobsters and their ecosystem. I showed him the difference between male and female lobsters, talked about the amount of pressure that a lobster's crusher claw can exert, and how they are keeping up in the ocean. Sophia plans on being a teacher, so she got a great head start teaching one of the most famous scientists in the country.
Very, very cool.
Super cool.
A lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Cindy's here to fill us in.
Yeah, a couple of crazy stories coming up. Imagine seeing a 2-year-old crying and alone standing outside at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, officers in Bangor did just that. His parents were nowhere to be seen. That is, until they eventually pulled up in a cab. What charges those parents are now facing. And a fox chases a 6-year-old girl into her home and bites her leg. The family dog killed the fox, but we now know that that fox was rabid. What that is going to mean for this family and the precautions we can all take just to make sure we don't find ourselves in the same situation. It's all ahead at 5:30. Back to you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. All right, stick with us. We'll be right back with an update to a story we told you about earlier this week.
And Keith's whiteboard, you thought you missed it? No, you did not.
Earlier this week, we told you about a man, his grandmother, and their trip that is now 3.5 years old. They were recently at Acadia National Park as part of their quest to see every national park in the United States. Here's Brad Ryan and his Grandma Joy's excellent adventure.
Hey Grandma, where are we?
We're in the middle of a redwood forest.
How do you feel when you look up at these trees?
It makes you feel very small.
If you can imagine living in a glacier flattened state your whole life, and she really never had an opportunity to fulfill that sense of adventure in herself, and I actually think that it's keeping her alive. There were some tragic things happening at our college, and I needed to remove myself from that situation for my own mental health. And we were 6 hours from the Smoky Mountains, and I thought this is an opportunity to finally get her to see a mountain. We've traveled 25,000 miles in the same vehicle. 38 states and 29 U.S. national parks so far.
Are you glad you came down here?
Oh yeah, I like this.
Pretty cool, huh?
People were not used to seeing a young man walking around with a very visibly older lady. And so, you know, people would stare at us and she would look at me and say, "You reckon they think I'm a cougar?" And I said, if it makes you feel better, we'll explain to everybody we meet that this is not a Harold and Maude situation.
Good morning, Grandma Joy. How are you?
Pretty good.
We have a friend.
When I get too close, he'll be alligator lunch. I think he's gonna come across the road.
What is it?
Where's his mama?
It just struck me as really unnecessarily tragic that she would live out the rest of her days alone in a house in rural Ohio and not be able to see the beauty of America.
Everything's beautiful. You can't believe all these beautiful, like, mountains.
She's really stunned by it, and I think a lot of what I'm seeing in her eyes says more than what I'm hearing her articulate. She has been widowed for 20 years. She lost 2 of her 3 sons when they were in their early to mid 40s, and she's had to work a minimum wage job into her early 80s to be able to survive week to week. And despite all of that, she's never complained. She wakes up every morning and she says the first thing that she says is, "Thank you. Thank you for another day." We do have the ability to choose joy. And that's my takeaway from this road trip that I will carry with me the rest of my life long after she's gone.
Sounds like quite the joyride. That does it for us. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.